Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. We're back in space. I got out the space background because today we're numbering the stars. That's our Bible quote for today's Atheist Advent. And we're both attired appropriately. I'm wondering if I have a hat I can use for it's fine. It's fine. We'll just I want to change it. It's fine. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. So a couple of things, a couple of notes, a couple of starting announcements, as we often do. First of all, as you know, I go to great lengths to avoid discussing community drama on this channel. That's not what this channel is for. It's not the proper place to do it. However, some drama has been thrust upon us. So I think we've got most of it under control. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty. Suffice it to say, people who we thought were skeptical humanists suddenly turned conspiracy theorist and got vicious at everybody who wouldn't kowtow to their bullshit. They decided that transphobia and misogyny and racism and all of this was fine if you're using it against a person you personally are mad at. And then they riled up a mob and they sent it after a bunch of people, including me. And didn't foresee the inevitable consequences of their actions. So we had to postpone yesterday's show, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We've taken steps. We think things are probably safe now, hopefully. But we will continue to take steps to make sure this community remains a safe place for people who value human rights for all humans. Now, Advent. We are doing Advent this month because it's silly and it's fun. We missed yesterday, so we have 2 days to do. So yesterday we had, and don't worry, the topic, I just postponed the topic. It'll be the day before New Year's Eve now. We're still going to cover it. We're not missing the topic. It's just moved. That's all. So, yes. So yesterday's stone was. Yeah. I'm trying to make sure you can see it well on the camera. It's obsidian. Everybody knows what obsidian is. It's volcanic glass. It's pretty neat shit. Some people call it dragon glass. Now the days are, I don't know which stone is in which. It's a surprise because it's an advent calendar, you know. it's an advent calendar. But I kind of wish we'd done something dragon themed but of course I didn't know. So it's fine. And then the other one is this purpley looking critter, which convinces me that the previous stone was amethyst because this is different. This is something else. Oh goodness. Okay. So this is
main two, so yeah.
Yeah. Lepidolite. Lepidolite. It's a form of mica. It says it is a phyllosilicate mineral that often appears with larger pieces of quartz. So it's also semi-quartz related, but it is actually a mica, properly said, I suppose. So yeah, neat. We got a piece of dragon glass and a new purpley stone. And that's fantastic. Tomorrow we'll be halfway through the calendar because it'll be the 12th. There's one for every day. So yeah, it'll be neat. I'm excited by our random geology. I am loving covering science. Like I've mentioned before that the reason this channel started was because I found the atheist community, various atheist communities, but TLDR, the ACA needed more hosts. I went through the whole process. They were like, we need to see you on camera. So I started this channel, but I started it as a science communicator because out of all the sciences I've studied, my favorite and the one I've put the most work into is cosmology. And I mean, it didn't stay that way because nothing happened on the science side of things for a long time. And I got people coming in going like, well, I debunked the argument then. And so I did. And then they're like, well, debunk the fine-tuning argument then. And so I did. And eventually I got dragged into counter-apologetics, countering conspiracy theories. And now we do human rights. But this month, and hopefully going forward, we're doing human rights and science. And I love that for us. All right. One other thing before I get to the other thing is Cosmic Kyle sent us a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Kyle. And says everyone pay up. Ember deserves your cash. Thank you, Kyle.
Oh, Kip, go.
Appreciate that. And Kip has opinions because Dr. Kip is always with us. Whether in puppy form or human form, there's always Dr. Kip around. Kyle sends another $2. Thank you, Kyle. And says, love you, Wember. Appreciate that. And Maya, our queen goddess, sends a super chat for $5 and says, trans rights are women's rights. Fuck yes.
Yep.
Our community stands together. We don't do this bullshit conspiracy theory nonsense. But to lighten the mood, I have one other note. And so occasionally I like to plug other creators. I'm getting a little skeptical about that because it seems like the minute I promote somebody, days later they turn into a conspiracy theorist. So I'm going to be a little more careful in the future. But there's this one show that I like to go hang out at on Wednesday nights called The Humanity Live. I blame B.S. Lewis for introducing me to it, but the human-shaped Dr. Kip sometimes swings through. Maya is sometimes there. There's a bunch of fun people, and the hosts are not only a lot of fun, but easily distractible. And that leads me to this short clip from yesterday's show. Enjoy.
So also, Ember, I'm putting yours up without reading them as well. But oh, don't tell the chat you're putting comments up without reading them. Shit. You'll end up showing something like Matt's butt tastes like Bisquick. Well, I mean,
it's so descriptive.
You can't prove it doesn't.
It's true.
So
you can't prove I'm not made of Bisquick.
It's just a short, silly thing, but it actually made me laugh out loud for the first time in days, and I was like, I need to share this with people. Like, hell yeah! So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Spooky says The Humanity Live. I hear they have great mods. It's true. It's true. I think there's actually only two aside from Spooky Bed Hair, because they are some of Spooky's biggest fans. The other one is Jimmy Tux, I believe. Possibly. Who, among his many other qualities, is always fabulously attired, which is a thing I myself appreciate. we stand fabulous fam around here. Okay, we're doing astronomy. What do we know? How did we get here? And how did the Christians try to fuck it up? Not so much that last part, but maybe. You never know. So we're
A little bit.
today we've got a lecture from the University of Oregon with visuals.
Ooh.
Hooray. So we're starting out. It's a lecture, so we'll just go with it. So folks, I'm having a hard time. I couldn't remember how to make breakfast this morning. Focus, Ember. We have very little in the form of recorded information on early man's impressions of the heavens, mostly some drawings of eclipses and comets and supernova, such as the Pueblo petrograph, see below. However, early man was clearly frightened and overwhelmed by the sky. One of the earliest recorded
You want me to read?
I need to take a drink. Hey folks, I've been working hard on my health, and so far I've lost over 140 pounds. A huge part of good health is hydration. That's why I'm thrilled to partner with Epic Water Filters. Check this out. Not only can you say goodbye to expensive bottled water, but these filters are made in the US, so no tariffs, and they're made to fit your life. From these lovely pitchers I can fill from, to sink units, to portable filters that fit in your reusable bottle. With Epic, I can refill from nature's water sources and not have to worry about bacteria and whatnot. But also, send back a used filter to be responsibly recycled, and they'll send you a free replacement, saving you and the Earth even more. Want to save a ton of money, be healthier, and build a better world? Head to epicwaterfilters.com and enter code EMBER15 at checkout for 15% off. Don't settle for random water. Upgrade to Epic. I need to make more things I can play, because like it was either the ad or the Apologist Supercut, which has its uses, but it's neither one's really appropriate for the start of a segment on astronomy. But thank you all for bearing with me. Okay. Early humans were clearly frightened and overwhelmed by the sky. One of the earliest recorded astronomical observations is the Nebra sky disk from northern Europe, and that's this thing. dating to approximately 1600 BCE. This 30-centimeter bronze disc depicts the sun, a lunar crescent, and stars, including the Pleiades and other stars. So this actually, it's a bit of a controversy because we don't, and you may have seen Mini Minuteman talk about this, another channel I highly recommend. Lots of good facts, very snark, love it. But anyway, we think this is the sun, but we don't know if this is supposed to be the horizon, this line on the right side. We have no idea what the hell this bottom curve is, or if this is the horizon, and also it implies like the world is curved, or maybe it's a view of the night sky looking up. We suspect this is the Seven Sisters, but we don't know because it's not in the same arrangement the Pleiades are in. And most weird of all is all these careful astronomical observations encoded on this disk, and the moon is facing the wrong fucking way. Because the crescent part of the moon always faces the sun. So what the fuck is going on here? So we don't really know. There's a lot of supposition about it, but it didn't come with the handbook, so we're just kind of taking guesses, trying to build hypotheses, and finding ways to test them, and it's still going. So the disk is probably a religious symbol, as well as a crude astronomical instrument or calendar in the Western Hemisphere. Now, I'm going to hold up. I don't like this speculation. It's probably a this. That's just speculation. We don't know. And again, it doesn't match what you might expect from a calendar. This strikes me as exactly the same sort of thing as when anthropologists and paleontologists find a stone cucumber in the ruins and go, it was probably used for ritual purposes. It's a fucking ancient dildo, guys. It just is. Like, chemical tested if you want, you know? It's probably, you're guessing. You're fucking guessing. In the Western Hemisphere, similar understandings of basic stellar and planetary behavior. And the reason I say that, I'm a little chaotic today. The reason I say that is because we had better calendars than this earlier than this all over Europe. Have you heard of Stonehenge? It's not the only henge, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Western Hemisphere, similar understanding of basic stellar and planetary behavior was developing. For example, Native American culture around the same time were leaving rock drawings or petroglyphs of astronomical phenomena. The clearest example is found below, a petroglyph which depicts the 1000 BCE-ish supernova that resulted in the Crab Nebula.
That's the wrong date.
Now,
1054.
1054?
For the
okay, I'll go with that. Ish. Yeah, I perhaps not the best lecture, but I mean, at least it's not University of Oklahoma. Good news, though. We can correct most of this on the fly. All right, so this is the rock drawing. Now, it's my understanding that petroglyphs are normally like carved, but maybe I'm thinking of the one it's not important. But what
they can be. I've seen it. I was going to say I've seen them in the Southwest where they basically take like the desert varnish off of, so it's a much lighter color than the rest of the petroglyphs.
So they kind of like, I don't know, paint or wore it away or something like that.
Yeah, they'll like scratch the patina off of it. Yeah, it looks awesome. It looks really cool.
It does. And what's really cool about it is the reason we know what it is because we were able to formulate a hypothesis we could test. Some paleontologists went, what if all these weird animal looking shapes are constellations of the local people, and this bright flashy bit, here, hopefully y'all can see my mouse, but like here, what if that's like a supernova or a super bright star or something? And they checked around with the people who lived in the area, and they were like, hey, do you have like any records of what your ancestors believe the constellations were? And they were like, fuck you, white man, we still believe those things. And also, yes. And so we identified which constellations, we matched up the star with the location of where the Crab Nebula is now. Ta-da, we made a hypothesis, we found data, it held up. That's how you conclude what things are. Holy shit. Oh, goodness. Okay, we've got a, I don't want to neglect super chat people. I appreciate you all very, very much. I appreciate all of y'all being here today. It's, we're doing the thing. Left-handed Jedi sends $20. Thank you so much, Jedi, and says, don't cry. You are loved. You're going to make me cry again, damn it, but thank you. Detroit Atheist Queen sends us $4.99. Thank you, Kelly, and says, stick to promoting Lil and myself and everything will be good. That's true. But also,
we do have emojis.
It's true. It's true. Oh, goodness. But yeah, there are a lot of really, really good people in the community. It's just difficult because there are people that I have been sure were good people, we're safe people, and then they flip on a fucking dime, and it makes you question your own judgment. It makes you go, is there anyone I can be sure is a safe person? Of course there are, but it puts you in that panic mindset of not knowing where to turn, you know? It's rough. Maya says, you have community. We love you. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. Okay, continuing on. Early humans also believed that the heavens, I wonder how old this lecture is, because it's like it's using BC and AD, it's saying early man instead of early cultures, or early people, or early, it's like, it's got a lot of outdated language. So early people also believed that the heavens held power over earthly existence. Psychology of the unknown. I'm not sure if that's a reference to another course or what the deal is, but it says it, which is the origins of the pseudoscience astrology as an attempt to understand, predict, and influence events. Ooh. But it's a fun one. So astrology, as pseudosciences go, it's generally harmless, but no pseudoscience is ever completely harmless, because first of all, there's always the chance people are going to take it too far and declare things to be true based on things that aren't facts. And the second is, just like we often say, when you disable your critical thinking to allow one flavor of nonsense in, you become vulnerable to all sorts of other nonsense. You have to use your skepticism for everything. It's the only defense against nonsense. Goodness. So yeah, but as a general rule, as pseudosciences go, astrology is mostly just for fun these days. Nobody's like running around gutting goats to read their entrails. I realize that's technically its own discipline, but the two often get connected, so never mind. But for the most part, it's relatively low stakes and mostly harmless. The earliest written records, history, which, history definitionally is written down stuff. So yeah, the earliest written records were astronomical observations produced by the Babylonians around 1600 BCE. That's not technically correct, but I'm not going to get into the minutia about it. They're some of the oldest records.
Yeah.
Left-handed Jedi sends us $2. Thank you, Jedi, and says Earth is classified as mostly harmless. I'm not sure what HGTTG means. Dost thou know? I'm out of date on my text speak.
Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxies.
Oh, okay, yes, all right. I have a towel. It's right over here. That, you know what? I wonder if I can almost reach it. I can almost. We're doing it. Come here. Okay. There. Now I'm ready.
Oh man, I was trying to find mine. Although I've only got like a little.
I can do around. Look at that. I just produced fluff from the void. See, if any theists are watching this in the future, see how easy that was? Now do that with your God. Oh my goodness. All right. So Babylonians, 1600 BCE-ish, who record the positions of planets, times of eclipses, etc. Also star charts. Let's not forget the star charts. That's how we found the planets, is there were lights that weren't fitting the star charts. They were just zipping around, and we're like, what the hell is going on? What is up with that red one? It was over there, and now it's over there. What is going on? So, yeah. The stars are kind of important. Okay, there's also evidence of interest in astronomical phenomena from the early Chinese. Do you think the early Chinese had an interest in astronomy, maybe?
Just maybe.
Do you suppose?
Then, I mean,
considering the Chinese histories go back further than the Babylonian ones. Holy shit. Whatever.
There's something really, really interesting. I think it's in the early Chinese writings, and there's also some writings from like early that describe Betelgeuse as being basically a lot more orange or a lot more yellow than it is today, which is really interesting. Which it's probably changed color a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell for sure from Earth because atmospheric interference. Some stars are very twinkly, some more than others, and sometimes weather conditions matter. But Rigel, for example, again, depending on weather conditions, some nights you can look at it and it'll seem to be like a freaking police light. It'll be mostly white, but it'll flash blue, and then it'll flash red, and then it'll flash blue, and you're like, what are you doing, star? Settle down.
I love
maybe it's dancing
like
in
one
place.
of my favorites. Maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and it's just it's one of those that that's actually the first constellation. They were like 3 or 4, and they're like, it's Orion. And finally, one of them finally asked me, they're like, that smudge right there. I'm like, well, let me tell you about Orion's Nebula. And so I got to tell them about all of that. And yeah, my boys love astronomy as much as I do. So it's really cool.
I know. I find so much peace looking at the stars. I've talked about that quite often because I do like to promote other creators. One of them being Cosmic Kyle, who makes amazing fucking astrophotography photos. I have several of his prints. They're hanging on my wall next to my bed because they give me peace. So I can like drift off gazing at Orion, for example. It's so cool. Oh goodness. Tangents. I doth digress. Central China, yes, early records from Chinese, Central American, Northern European cultures, such as Stonehenge. See, if you want to count Stonehenge as history, because even though it may or may not have writing on it, it's hard to say because several of the old cultures in that area used a kind of line script. The most recent was some people say Owan, some people say Agam, depending on which way you learn about it. It's not important because that was just the most recent version of the long evolving alphabet of drawing lines on things in a symbolic, but not like symbolic way. A sort of a proto-language, let's say. So you could argue there is writing on Stonehenge, and if writing defines history, then that means Stonehenge is now the earliest history in Europe, you know? Possibly Newgrange, because there's definitely symbols, drawn things in Newgrange, and that's somewhere in the vicinity of 10,000 years old. But that, I digress.
Yeah, last I heard, I think it was about 10,000, give or take a little bit.
What is it the flat earthers always say? Don't use the sky to judge the ground. We shouldn't judge the sky using the ground. I think I may have done that backwards. The flat earthers say, don't look at the sky to figure out what's happening on the ground. We shouldn't look at the ground to figure out what's happening in the sky. Jokes are always funnier when you explain them, especially when you fuck up the delivery. Oh my goodness. All right. Evidence for interest in astronomical observation, such as Stonehenge, which is a big computer for calculating the position of the planets and the sun. Stonehenge is not a computer, folks. It does not calculate. It doesn't perform operations. It does not have any logic function. It's just a calendar. Possibly with ritualistic purposes, like, behold, it's now the summer solstice. We must do a certain kind of party, you know? But it's not a fucking computer. Oh, goodness. Jedi says Agam and symbols are carved on the standing stones. I probably. I've never really looked into it. I've heard a lot of weird shit about it. Like, one of my favorites is that Stonehenge is a giant bell, that the stones all have the same resonance frequency. And if you create that certain frequency in the middle of Stonehenge, the stones ring. And they like resonate back and forth between them, magnifying the sound, and it gets louder and louder. And if all the stones were still standing, it would reach, it's hypothesized, it would reach a kind of critical level where it would make the signal audible across the entire fucking countryside. So it was sort of like a way you could ring one alarm bell and alert every fucking village in your kingdom to an invader. For example, it's an interesting idea. But I'd need a demonstration, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stonehenge became a lot more compact after the transistor was invented. That's right. That's why we don't need to build the big ones anymore. Oh, goodness. So the lecture goes on. Thus, astronomy was the first science, as it was the first thing we recorded observations for. From a certain point of view, you could make that case, I suppose. I still think ecology, even though formal ecology is one of the younger sciences, but the study of environments, biosystems, and how to manipulate living ecosystems was crucial to the development of agriculture. So while agriculture is more of an applied science, you still need the science to apply, and agriculture makes all the rest possible. But that's just my interpretation. Later in history, 5,000 to 20,000 years ago, so earlier in history, going further back than those observations, it's worded so weird. Humankind begins to organize themselves and develop what we now call culture. Related note, our friend Justin from This Just In, the Canadian creator, just released a new video in his Reading from Right to Left series, where he goes through the crazy right-wing children's books. And it involved yours truly and AJ and Joe the Kentucky Atheist. We were the panel for that one, and it's up on his channel now. This just in, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do. You may have your opinions about how he edited it, but it was a lot of fun to do. So feel free to check that out. Oh goodness. I'm tempted to find a link, but let's focus, Ember. Focus. Okay. A greater sense of permanence in your daily existence leads to the development of culture, where people develop narrative stories for cultural unity, which we now call myths. That's a hell of an oversimplification, but close enough. So mythology and the narrative of a culture are part of what makes a culture a culture. It informs everything else in that culture, because the cultural narrative not only tells you how to be, it tells you why you are, right? Like, in order to be a formal mythology, your cultural narrative has to have 3 parts. The origin, where did we come from? How did we get here? What brought us up to the present moment? The second part is the relationship between humans and the destiny, the purpose, the gods, whatever it is. What makes humans special, and what are you supposed to be doing with regards to the story of your culture? This is what you do in the narrative. And then the third part is the destiny of humans, the destiny of mankind, if you will. And that's how, if you carry out this narrative laid out in your mythology correctly, this will be the fate that you achieve. And sometimes it includes an alternative, an anti-hypothesis. If you fail in the task given to you by the gods and handed down from your ancestors, you will be eternally punished. So you best do as you're told. That sort of thing. Yes, that is what makes a thing a mythology. And that's why definitionally every major religion in the world today is mythological. It meets the criteria. It is mythology, even if people currently live in those narratives today. So I just wanted a tangent to make that, because it's important, right? Like, knowing that there are cultural narratives helps you understand what cultural narratives you may be caught in. It's an important tool to help free people from those oppressive mythological structures. So yeah, thank you, Andrew. And Andrew found the link. Elephants Are Not Birds. That was the book. I won't spoil it. It's a trip. It's a trip. But vulture reminded me, because there's a prominent character who's a vulture. Okay, art. Behold the art. We've had it on screen pretty much the entire last rant, but we get some of the fun constellations. Don't be. What is it? Apes? That doesn't look like apes. This thing in the lower left here. I mean, maybe it's just the orientation, but it looks like 4 balls with 2 dicks coming out in opposite directions.
Huh.
I don't. But hey, triangulum is a fucking triangle. It just is a triangle, and I love that. And of course, we've got to have the big old bear. You know, we've got our Big Dipper making up the back. The rest of the constellation everybody else forgets about. The Milky Way wandering through the sky. But in this rendition, heading towards Andromeda across the zenith, we've got what we call the Little Dipper is. Okay. That is Ursa Minor. I thought it was. I was looking at it upside down, like literally, because the baby bear is upside down. But it looked like it was part of this penguin-looking thing. Anyway, and of course, the line across the middle is the zodiac. Wait, no. This line, this dotted line along the edge, is the zodiac. That's the path the sun takes throughout the course of the year, which is why we get the astronomical constellations, because those are the ones the sun passes through. And the idea is that if the sun happens to be in a certain area of the sky at the moment a thing happens, then that aspect, that, I mean, the constellations are just, hey, it looks like a thing, right? But there was a belief that the shapes that we just randomly came up with, because every culture that came, there's so many different constellations, like we were talking about earlier with the Crab Nebula supernova. Every culture who doesn't receive them from another comes up with their own constellations. Everybody loves to play connect the dots. So the idea that, like, we thought it was a ram for Aries means that there's like bullheadedness and it just in that time of year, it's just, we made that up, you know? Oh goodness. One If by Land makes an excellent point that I wish I'd thought of while we were doing the book. If elephants aren't birds, how come their ears look like wings? Because both we on the panel, as well as the author of the book, overlooked the obvious fact, Dumbo. Sometimes elephants are birds. Checkmate, atheists. Oh. Okay, most myths maintain supernatural themes with gods, divine and semi-divine figures, but there was usually an internal logical consistence to the narrative. For example, myths are often attempts at rational explanation of events. It says of events. Wording. In the everyday world, their goal is to teach. That's important because a lot of cultures up to the modern day would build these mythologies around the stars, and then they would take their little children outside, point out the stars, show how the constellations are real, and therefore the gods are real too.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, we don't use tricks like that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my. All right. For example, myths are often attempts at a rational explanation of events. Right, I read that sentence already, didn't he? The goal was to teach, yes, to tell the stories, because a lot of the mythological stories are mythologized versions of real historical events, much like the Bible. I see Dr. Kip is here talking about hockey, the human-shaped Dr. Kip. And one of the things that I picked up from him and his colleagues is that the Bible isn't just horrible fiction. It also relays mythologized versions of the real history of a people in a place and time we otherwise basically have no records for. So we can extract a lot of real history from the mythological retellings. And that's fucking cool. And we know that's broadly true of other cultures as well. For example, in Irish lore, there's a bunch of gods who all turned out to have been real people at one point, and their stories just inflated, as happens when you let humans tell stories. Even if we consider some of the stories to be ridiculous, they were, in some cases, our first scientific theories. I mean, saying because a thing, it doesn't necessarily make it scientific. They also usually follow a particular religion. And so this time is characterized by a close marriage of science and religion. Well, I wouldn't phrase it that way. I mean, I understand this is like a college lecture. I'm having a time, folks. My fucking ear turned off. It's a college level lecture, but it's more like religion and science were the same thing until we reached a point. It probably happened several times because it depends on the culture, where you'd get some people who would believe the mythology until they started to find things didn't match. And then you split. You get people who believe the fairy tale in regardless of the facts, and you've got people who believe the facts regardless of the fairy tale. And then you start to butt heads. But it didn't really become a thing until the Renaissance, when at least in Western culture. It's happened in different cultures at different times, of course, but I know European history best. So yeah, when you hit an era of sudden intellectual growth and you have those old entrenched powers that don't like their narrative questioned, they get a little reactionary about it and they start burning people. But we don't talk about Bruno. God, I gotta get that clip back.
That's such a good one, though.
Oh my goodness. All right. Anyway, Hellenistic culture. All right, we're catching up, and I don't like how we skip so much of prehistory, but it's fine. Let's work our way up to the stars we know today. I am not making very good time through this article. I'm bad at my job, folks. Hellenistic culture. About 1,000 years later, the ancient Greeks, the freaking phrasing, whatever. The ancient Greeks inherited astronomical records from the Babylonians. I don't know as I'd necessarily say inherited, but whatever. And applied that data to construct a cosmological framework. Data was not just used for practical goals, such as navigation, and that's another reason people paid attention to the stars. Like, one generation after we had agriculture, we started to have trade. And while you can just follow a path to the next village to do trade, if you wanted to cross any large body of water, you might need something to navigate by. And sure, you can go along the coast, you can watch for landmarks, that's fine and dandy. But if you get lost in a storm or you go over open water, well, now what landmarks can you use? It's all water. So you use the sky marks. Instead of landmarks, you have sky marks. Oh, Tommy, you have missed the best part of the show. You simply must rewind. You know what I did if you think about it for a second. Oh my. Okay, so yes, we that's another practical reason for paying attention to the damn stars. And you don't like, you could build it up organically too, right? Like if you're learning to be a sailor, an older sailor will say something along the lines of, see those stars right over there all bunched up together, or see those stars that look kind of like a giant fish hook. You want to sail towards those until midnight and then turn left. Like, you don't have to have full-on constellations, and people will start making constellations out of the stars for use in navigation. It's pretty neat. But they also use them to think of new experiments, the origin of what we call natural philosophers. I mean, it wasn't just the stars, but the stars certainly contributed. We did cover where the philosophy came from a few days ago. I can't remember, but it was in our Atheist Advent series. So make sure to check those out, because they're fun. They're full of sciencey stuff. Yeah, we've got a. I like the drawing. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know. Compared to like stuff like this, it seems boring and shit. But if you really look at it, like, we've got a nice crescent moon, and we've got the. I don't know what constellation that's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be a constellation, but it's just, yeah. These philosophy dudes, like, they're just like, hey, look at the fucking stars, yo. It's amazing. I love it. Oh my. Oh, sorry, folks. I didn't get to my mute button in time for that one. Okay, Babylonians, practical goals, natural philosophers. Here we go. One of the many natural philosophers before the time of Socrates, the pre-Socratics, was Thales. In 480 BCE, his combination of math and Chaldean data enabled him to predict eclipses. Now, that I've mentioned before, a precursor to what we now call the philosophers was Pythagoras's math cult, which is a really weird thing to have a cult about, but Sinister Porpoise will assure you it is possible if she ever pops up again. She's so in and out. In any case, you needed to have the math. So they had the math. They acquired the Chaldean astronomical data along with a bunch of other science records. And they went, oh, we can combine these two things and predict eclipses. And sometimes they even got them right, which, considering how things have to line up so precisely for an eclipse. You know, we've all seen the charts of the path of totality and shit. How tight the beam is. It's like 20 to 40 miles wide. To predict it's going to pass over your city using ancient instruments is pretty damn cool. So, between the cosmological foundation set by the pre-Socratics and the world of ideas introduced by Plato was a set of fundamental calculations on the size of the Earth, the Moon, the Sun, and the distances between the nearby planets performed by Eratosthenes and Aristarchus. You may be familiar with the Eratosthenes thing. He's the sticks and shadows guy who not only proved the Earth was round using the sun, but used the difference in the shadows to calculate roughly the circumference. Technically, he calculated the radius, but using a radius, you can calculate a circumference. So, same thing. I really got to mark where I leave off when I tangent so much. It's my nature. I cannot help it. It is part of being an Ember.
Hey, we're here for the tangent.
Okay. Using some... It's true. Using some simple geometry, these two natural philosophers were able to, for the first time, place some estimate of the size of the cosmos in Earth terms. And that's important because for the longest time, most people either assumed the stars were on some kind of dome or there was no way to measure. That was just the cosmos. It was just the heavens, you know? But these crafty little fuckers, they took out their abacuses and their protractors probably, and whatever tools they had handy, and they calculated like little fucking nerdy goons, and they went through and they were like, you know what? Jupiter's really far away, but sometimes it's farther than others. What up with that? You know? For a long time, it was realized that the Earth's surface was curved by people familiar with the behavior of incoming and outgoing ships. Right. This is a thing that so many people like to throw out. Oh, we only knew the Earth was round 500 years ago because Columbus. We've always known, like, as long as there have been ships. Holy shit. It was just a few random troglodytes who were raised illiterate who kept, for some reason, throwing out this idea that the Earth is fucking flat. It's just, oh my goodness, it's a whole thing. Modern flat earthery is a conspiracy theory from the 1960s, which is interesting because a lot of conspiracy theories come from the 1960s. Weirdly, they all have very racist overtones. I can't imagine what may have happened in the 1960s that made a bunch of racists form a bunch of conspiracy theories. Who could say?
I don't know.
Deviant says it's a hard K. Haldean.
Oh.
That makes sense.
I am terrible at pronouncing stuff. Like, if I see it on paper and, like, I know the word, I might not know how to pronounce it, though. It took me, I kid you not, in 1997 to realize that facade and facade.
So, I have a similar moment of like semi-embarrassment, but it's actually kind of funny. As you know, I was an avid reader as a child too, and I went through books that were way past my grade level. So I was reading a whole bunch of words that I was never hearing adults say. So I had to come up with like my own internal pronunciation for them so that I could read at full speed. And one of them was epitome, because that's how it's written, epitome. Years later, I did hear people start saying such and such is the epitome of this thing. And I'm just like, that's a weird colloquialism. I've never heard that. I've never seen that word written down anywhere. Huh. It took me years before it suddenly just clicked. Those are the same word.
It's happened to me. Yeah, it's happened to me. Yeah, there's something written down. I'm just like, oh, that's how you say that. Okay. Whoops.
Yeah. No, it happens. Although I would much rather have that happen than the other way around, where, you know, I'd rather be like so literate that my reading is ahead of the words of people around me, rather than be less literate than the words of the people around me, because then I might be a flat earther, for example. Probably not. One If by Land says Aristarchus also proposed the heliocentric solar system in the BCEs. That makes sense, because that was another thing too, is not only the shape of the earth, but do the things go around the earth, or does the earth go around the things, etc. And Jerry says, I used to mentally pronounce caveat as caveat. I get it. Absolutely. Tommy says, I too pronounced now I got myself all messed up. Epitome as epitome. I was like, it's like the coolest book. It's the epitome. Oh my. All right. I actually marked my spot this time. For it was obvious that as the ship passed over the horizon, the hull disappeared first, then the topmost sailing masts. Although one could argue this is an effect of refraction in the atmosphere, that's a weird thing to put into a college lecture. That was completely unnecessary. Ancient astronomers could see with their eyes that the sun and moon were round, and the shadow of the earth cast on the lunar surface during a lunar eclipse is curved. A sphere is the simplest shape to explain the Earth's shadow, because a disk would sometimes display a shadow shaped like a line or an oval or whatever. It was always circular, so it has to be a sphere, like literally everything else we observe. I remember there's I forget which book, but it's got a quote purported to be from Magellan, which goes something along the lines, and it's translated from the Italian anyway, so it's going to be an approximation anyhow, but it goes something along the lines of, I have seen the shadow of the earth on the face of the moon, and so I know the church is lying, because I believe the reality I see with my own eyes more than I believe the motivated reasoning of the church. Something like that. It's like, yeah, you can literally see the earth is not flat. And it also is a clue that flat earthery at that time was promoted by the church, because the goal was to keep people illiterate for power, to control them, and making everyone like only acknowledge one book, and it had to be the Bible, and the Bible is literally true, means you must enforce a flat earth ideology. C'est la vie. Oh, I did not mark my place this time. I am bad at my job. Sun and moon were round. Shadow of the earth. Right, shadow of the earth. Okay. And here's Eratosthenes' measurements. The 7-degree shadow between Alexandria and Syene, which I'm also mispronouncing. I'm aware, Deviant. And so the distance from Alexandria to Syene was 4,900 stadia, approximately. So the ratio of that distance to the circumference of the Earth is given by c over distance equals 360 degrees over 7 degrees. It's actually a really simple formula. Once you have the measurement and the degrees, you can calculate the circumference. And it works the other way too. And it was tested. This is one of the things that makes it science, is you can make a hypothesis. You can say, okay, now we have a circumference, approximately, what is it, 4,100 kilometers or some shit. So 41,904, 902. It's been a long time since I paid attention to the freaking flat Earth people.
Yeah.
They would say it all the time. It's not super important. Whatever the circumference is, you can take that and then make a prediction of a different distance and how many degrees of difference you would get then. Now you got to wait a year because you need it to be, like a solstice day or an equinox day or something to get the shadows to line up so you can get an accurate measurement. But you can make a prediction and then you can test it. And if you get the right angle of shadow, it confirms your model. It's neat. And if you get the wrong angle, back to the drawing board. Eratosthenes used a spherical Earth model and some simple geometry, which is like geometry but more math flavored, to calculate its circumference. Eratosthenes knows that on a special day, for instance, the summer solstice, at noon in the Egyptian city of Syene, a stick placed on the ground will cast no shadow. I mean, also there's a well in the town square, and the sun went straight down, producing no shadow on the walls of the well, which is why it was a tourist attraction of the ancient world. Come see the well on Midsummer's Day. You can look straight down, and the only shadow will be yours, which is kind of neat. I'd actually like to see that. It's a little neat, but it's still neat, But yeah, sticks cast no shadow. People, I mean, well, you do cast a shadow, but it's straight down, It's neat. Where the hell? Damn it, Ember. Okay. Cast no shadow because it's parallel to the sun rays. A stick in the ground, a stick in the mud, even at Alexandria to the north, will cast a shadow at an angle of 7 degrees. Eratosthenes relies on the ratio of a complete circle, 360 degrees to 7 degrees, is the same as the ratio of the circumference of the Earth to the distance from Alexandria to Swenet. I think this was supposed to be Syene.
Sure.
I realize this is a university lecture. I am taking points off for this shit. I am grading the lecture. No. Bad professor. Proofread your fucking work.
I mean,
centuries.
I could like a rough draft or something, but it's like, come on. Proofread it.
Or if you're presenting it to students, like you're modeling the level of quality you expect. And if it's lacking in like some really obvious lazy ways, you're training your students badly, Yeah,
you are.
Centuries of surveying by Egyptian pharaohs' scribes gave him the distance between the two cities of 4,900 stadia. Now, was this because of surveying? Of course, the stories that have been passed down, we don't have Eratosthenes' original works. It was a very long time ago. We have other people quoting snippets of Eratosthenes' works. So we have like copies of copies, translations of translations, so on and so forth. So there's different versions of how we got the figure of 4,900 stadia. Some people say that Eratosthenes paid a guy to go walk the distance and measure it. But if you're walking a distance, it's hard to say for sure it's a straight line. Because if you're following a road, the road is not going to be at a straight line. It's going to go up and down and around and back and forth. And if you're not on a road, you're subject to going in an even less straight line. It's hard to say. But whatever. However he got to it. So that works out to approximately 784 kilometers. And the resulting circumference of 40,320 kilometers is amazingly close to the modern value of 40,030 kilometers. Is that true? Am I remembering wrong? Let's look that up. Circumference of Earth. No, not Earth's orbit. The actual Earth. Boop. Okay. Google say it's approximately 40,075. 24,901 is what I was thinking. It was miles, though. Okay, 40,075 kilometers, 40,008 at the kilometer, at the equator. English is hard. It
is.
Okay. Wikipedia says about the same thing. 40,075 passing around the equator. That's the equatorial distance. 40,75. Going through the poles, it'll be slightly different because and the poles would be what you would measure when you're using solar thing. Solstice. Jesus Christ. My brain is misfiring like crazy. Okay. Yeah, 40,075. All right, so let's go back over to where we were. Okay, 40,030. Not dead on, but it's closer than the ancient Greek estimate. And I mean, that is a shockingly close estimate, right? 40,320 when the actual value is 40,075. That's like a rounding error of accuracy, you know? And that's probably literally what happened. With this calculation, Eratosthenes becomes the father of geography. I mean, it's not really geography exactly. Not important. Eventually drawing up the first maps of the known world and determining the size of the most fundamental object in the universe, our own planet. That's not true. That is. The Earth is the most fundamental object for us because we need somewhere to stand. I used to conceptualize the Earth as sort of a ledge hanging in space close to this big fucking light bulb we call the sun. Like we're good at our distance because it's what we evolved for, but like we're hung on a wall in a way where there's no wall. It's like a balcony on a ledge, because if you could visualize the gravitational slope of the sun, the way it bends space around it because it's so heavy, we're on the side of a cliff, gravitationally speaking. And the Earth is like a little notch. It's a little ledge sticking out, and we can stand on it. And it's a great place to stand and look at the stars. I get a little poetic sometimes.
I like it though.
Yeah.
I like.
But yeah, it's not the most fundamental object of the universe. Like the universe,
No.
if you deleted the entire Earth, the universe wouldn't even notice.
I mean, you could delete the sun. You could delete the sun. Most things wouldn't notice. We would, but who cares?
Yeah. Oh goodness. Hipparchus, that fella, around 100 BC, produced the first star catalog and recorded the names of constellations. Again, asterisk, this is European history. We know the Babylonians had names for many of the stars a long fucking time before. Other cultures did as well. Whatever. During the times before the invention of the telescope, there were only 7 objects visible to the ancients. I mean, that's literally not true too. We were just talking about the stars. There are more than 7 stars, and those are all objects, but whatever. The sun, the moon, the 5 planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and the Earth. The Earth is also a planet that was visible to the ancients. This was another thing, another way of conceptualizing. Not only is the Earth a ledge, it's also our sunshade. Because if you think about what an eclipse is, we get a total eclipse every single day. You put the planet between you and the sun so you can see the other stars. It's almost like the world was perfectly designed for stargazing. Like, I mean, yes, you could see the stars more often. You could, get, I don't know, maybe 20 hours of night for more stargazing. But the flip side is by utilizing the rays of the sun that are holding this planet in place in this wonderful position for stargazing, we're able to grow food and shit. And so, yeah, we have to turn off the stars once a day. We have to eclipse the stars so that we can get some plant grow light going. That's what we're doing. It's a necessary interruption in our stargazing purpose for existence. I'm building a whole damn religion up in here. It's fine. Nil, the great not God and creator of creator gods, gave us the universe and a place from which to watch it, to observe it, to gaze upon its glory and wonder. And the fact it is both glorious and wonderful is proof of Nil's existence and perfect plan. Perfect with an asterisk. Because holy shit, thing, definitely asterisk. Anyway,
you have to get rid of Yahweh first. You have to get rid of Yahweh first.
Oh yes.
You have to get rid of with the Nil.
That's right. With a Yahweh away Nil. God damn it! Why am I big? I don't need to be big. Lil needs to be big. Yahweh away Nil scented soy candle. It's actually an unscented soy candle, but by calling it Nil scented, it's much funnier. The scent of Nil will drive away all those nasty blood gods, the Yahwehs and the Jehovahs and all of that nonsense. We'll just banish it from your space like it was never there. Oh my. Okay, it was obvious that the planets were not on the celestial sphere, assuming the stars were all on a sphere. That was a thing from Ptolemy's cosmology, but that's another deal. Where the fuck? I was just looking at it. God damn it. It was obvious the planets were not on the celestial sphere since the moon clearly passes in front of the sun, and planets, Mercury and Venus, can be seen to transit the sun. The sun passes in front of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So, yeah, we're working out where things are related to other things. Plato first proposed that the planets followed perfect circular orbits around the Earth, for the circle is the most perfect shape. That's one idea, yes. If only there were a way to test that hypothesis. But whatever. Later, Heraclides, we'll go with it. 330 BCE developed the first solar system model. Again, in Greece, the first solar system model in Greece. Several other civilizations beat you by 1,000 years or so, buddy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And placed the planets in order from the Earth, which was now called the geocentric solar system model, and the beginning of the geocentric versus heliocentric debate. I mean, kind of, but not really. Although it is fun to watch the nerds fight, right? Like, That's always a great topic. It's always fun because you always get one person who's going off some half-baked bullshit and another person who actually knows their shit. And when you get a person who actually knows their shit, you actually learn things you might not know. And that's my favorite thing, is when I learn shit I didn't know. Makes my brain all tingly.
Oh, yeah, I'm this.
Yeah. Lawrence from the Behold Network says, in ancient Near East, they believed the stars were inscribed or drawn on the celestial sphere or the firmament. That's why the same idea is in the Bible. Yeah, and there's a lot of cultural crosstalk, I suppose. But on the flip side, one of the reasons that the cosmology laid out in the Bible was so amenable to the ancient Greeks, or vice versa, was because they seemed to confirm each other. Like, oh, here's this other culture who doesn't believe in our mythology, but has the same celestial setup, which kind of confirms the rest of our mythology might be real too. Never questioning that maybe it's their mythology that's the correct one. And yours confirms theirs. But it's fun. But yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, when you like view and models of like the solar system and stuff, you can kind of see how they like got there based on what they knew at the time. But the cool thing is that the last 100 years we've gone that we were possibly the only galaxy, and like our galaxy was all there is, to how, and it's like you cannot wrap it's impossible to wrap your head around how so cool. And there's so much out there.
Speak for yourself, my dear. I mean, I get it.
Head around, like,
infinity is a difficult concept when you're trying to think of it in terms of quantity, because it doesn't compute. It's not actually a quantity term, you know? So yeah, it's a matter of perspective though. I've learned over the many years that I've been looking into things that whenever we come up with an infinite value, we're looking at the problem from an incorrect perspective. It's not a sign that something is beyond our comprehension, and it's not necessarily a sign that the model we're using to conceptualize is wrong, but the way we're looking at the problem is incorrect. If you put numbers in and you get infinity out, you're using the wrong formula. Or at least that seems to be the case every single time we've run across it before. I realize problem of induction, we can't say that'll always be the case, but yeah, it's a thing. Okay, let's see. Note that the orbits in the graph here are perfect circles. For philosophical reasoning, all things in heaven are perfect. Slightly later, Aristarchus proposed, and our buddy, our boy, Aristarchus, doing some good work up in there, proposed an alternative model of the solar system, placing the sun at the center with the Earth and the planets in circular orbit around it. Because no one would burn him at the stake for heresy for suggesting such a thing. People actually cared about what was true, which is why it was sort of a golden age, even though things were also extremely unpleasant in other ways. The moon orbits around the Earth. This is undeniable. But everything else orbiting the sun, that became known as the heliocentric model. And the reason it had to be debated was because we couldn't show that everything orbited the sun, because the moon clearly orbited the Earth. So that, to the unthinking perspective, seemed like a chink in the armor of the heliocentric model. It's disproving it. Not everything orbits the sun. We know the moon orbits the Earth. You are wrong, and therefore your theory is broken. Geocentric looks simpler. So law of parsimony means that it's probably correct. But that's not the only factor we need to be looking at. Aristarchus was the first in Greece to propose a new sun-centered cosmology, and is one of the primary objections to the heliocentric model is the stars displayed no parallax, which is the apparent shift of nearby stars on the sky due to the Earth's motion around the sun. Well, that's not exactly true. And also, I'm not sure how that has anything to do with anything. Because if you take both models for how the solar system looks, they can both propose either the stars are distinct things very, very, very unbelievably far away, or they're all lights on a dome. It works the same in either model. So why would that have to do anything with anything?
Mm-hmm.
However, Aristarchus believed that the stars were very distant and thus display parallax that is too small to be seen with the eye. According to our lecture, and I'm not going to bother looking this up, the first parallax will not be measured until 1838 by Friedrich Bessel. Bessel came up in our Big Bang episode because a lot of these things interrelate.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. The sun is like the fixed stars. It's not, but okay. States Aristarchus, unmoving on a sphere with the sun at its center. Actually, that's a really neat mental model. If you pause for a second and you switch to abstract thinking mode so that you're able to conceptualize more than 3 spatial dimensions, and you consider a sphere with the sun at its center. If you're outside of 3-dimensional thinking, you can have the sun physically affixed to the sphere with open space for the planets to go around inside of it without there being a 3-dimensional physical connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. I wonder if that's what they were thinking, or they were just kind of throwing shit out there to see what stuck. For Aristarchus, it was absurd that the hearth of the sky, the sun, should move, and eclipses are easy to explain by the motion of the moon around the Earth. And that's a good point, too. The ability to predict eclipses makes the model testable. And if heliocentrism helps you predict eclipses with greater accuracy, that's strong supporting evidence over the competing model, which has less good accuracy. That's how you do a science. I love it. Problems. There were problems. There were problems, folks. And of course, we already know there were problems. One is the parallax. The second is orbital predictions. Both models were shit at it because the orbits weren't circles. But we figured that out later.
Mm-hmm.
While we know today that the sun is the center of the solar system, this was not obvious for the technology of the pre-1500s. In particular, Aristarchus's model was ruled out by the philosophers at the time for 3 reasons. 1, Earth in orbit around the sun means that the Earth is in motion. Before the discovery of Newton's laws of motions, it was impossible to imagine motion without being able to feel it. Well, that's not true. You know, Galileo's relativity points out a scenario for understanding relative motion, but being in the frame of your own inertia, not feeling motion while you can observably demonstrate you are moving. And that technology, that mental framework, was available to anyone, at the very least, as soon as we had fucking boats, you know? So it's that's demonstrably not true. But whatever. Clearly, no motion is detected, although trade winds are due to Earth's rotation. So yeah, we do actually detect motion. And Jer shared a link to a Coriolis video earlier, which I'm going to go back and look at later, because it sounds pretty cool. In any case, the second, if the Earth undergoes a circular orbit, then nearby stars should have a parallax. If they're nearby enough, a parallax is an apparent shift in the position of the nearby stars relative to distant stars. And there's a diagram. Like if you're over here, in let's say, you know, the spring equinox, and as you're going around the sun, spring equinox, You look at Polaris, and it looks like it's this way against the stars. Then 6 months later, you get to the autumnal equinox, other side of the sun, and you look at Polaris, and now it's over among these stars. It should move if it's close enough. And it turns out they do move, but they're not. We couldn't, they're unimaginably far. Like we say the nearest star is 4.3 light years away. We just throw out that number, but it's very difficult to conceptualize just how fucking far a light year is. And it's 4 of them. To put it another way, if we got into a spaceship and got it up to something like 10% of light speed, it would take us nearly 400 years to get to Proxima Centauri. And 10% of light speed is considerably faster than anything we've ever made go fast before. I mean, aside from like protons and accelerators and shit, you know? It's just crazy.
The last figure I heard was the fastest spaceship that fastest spaceship probe could possibly send out. It would take something like 10 years at the moment. But that's what I remember seeing. It would take something like 60,000 years with current technology to get there.
That's the calculation for how long it would take, like a Voyager or a Mariner kind of thing, to cross that distance. Something like that.
Which those things are moving pretty fast.
Oh yeah, they're stupid fast, and even so, it's taken like 50 years to get 1 light day away. It's stupid far.
Can I add a slightly random fact just to? So Voyager's light day, the largest confirmed in the universe, it would take a light week from the event horizon to the singularity. It's that big. It would take a light.
You know, right before going on air, I was thinking about, why don't we take really, really, really old people, not necessarily any specific age, but like when a person feels their time is very, very close, and drop them into a black hole. It seems disrespectful.
I volunteer.
But like, for the people who know they're just about out of time, and one of their biggest regrets, they're going to lose contact with their family either way, but one of their biggest regrets is not being able to see what comes after, even if they can't interact with it. If we drop them into a black hole, time changes, and they will die of old age long before they get to the singularity, but time will stretch out so severely fairly quickly. They'll get to relatives, descendants could send them broadcasts that they could receive. They could never transmit back because they're inside the event horizon, but they could receive them. And as long as they can change the signal back to their local normal signal frequency, because it'll get blue shifted like fucking crazy as it falls in. But if they can like unshift it, they can watch. So you could have like your grandchildren send you messages on like the occasion of their wedding and shit.
That would be really cool.
And you could watch their lives play out by remote years after you should have died. And as you get deeper and deeper, time will go faster and faster on the outside. You'll get to watch stars blow up like fucking fireworks, because from the perspective of a black hole, people have described the universe as something like someone set off a firework and we're in the twinkling sparkles in the aftermath. But from inside a black hole, it's still sparkling. Like stars are lighting up and blowing apart so fast because of the time dilation. Bree says, what does Andrew Sarkis say about it? I don't know what that means. Is that a joke I'm missing? Is it a philosopher I should be aware of? I don't
think
know.
it's the guy we were talking about earlier that I cannot remember his name because I am terrible with Greek names.
Oh, of course. It's a critter.
Oh,
It's
I am not all here
genus
today,
of
apparently.
Artiodactyl that lived in the Middle Eocene in what is now China.
Okay, that's
Breeze
awesome.
flexing bestiary on us. That's what's going on.
Oh, but
Oh my goodness.
I've so got my head in the stars at the moment. Like I've got astronomy on the brain.
I know. I'm
But
just like,
yes, as far as a black hole, as far as a black hole goes, I volunteer to fall in just because I want to know what's on the other side of that. Like, okay, fine.
I mean,
like,
that would be cool too. I don't think we'd survive all the way to the singularity, but that's okay. You know,
You might.
well, that's the thing. Our math
It's
completely
possible.
falls apart. Like a lot of physicists warn about the spaghettification thing. They're like, you will get stretched and twisted, but here's the thing. That's a Lorentz transformation effect. The space will be a different shape as viewed from the outside, but inside, that's just the space. Now, the downside is the tidal effects are fucking real, and you're going to approach a Roche limit for your body where the gravitational forces will tear you apart. But
yeah, with the
I don't know. My
was gonna say-
says don't throw the elderly into a black hole. Like and share the stream instead, and also subscribe while you're at it, because I've postponed some of the bonus shows partly because I don't trust I have the energy to do them, because of all the nonsense. And but I may do a bonus show later. If I'm feeling a little better the more we go on, and if I manage to continue to have enough energy to keep my composure together, I may try to do a bonus show later. I'm not sure which flavor of show it might be. There are several scheduled. I've got material for 2 transfactuals, an adult Bible study, at least one in other news. It could be anything, but make sure you're subscribed and have the notifications turned on. So if we do a bonus show, you will be notified of that. Shoot, we are technically overtime, but I wanted to get to Hypatia because Hypatia is fucking cool. All right, let's speed run this. Ptolemy, 200 AD, was an ancient astronomer, geographer, and mathematician who took the geocentric theory of the solar system and gave it a mathematical foundation called the Ptolemaic system. He did this in order. Ptolemy, incidentally, pharaoh at the time, but never mind. There were a whole bunch of Ptolemies. Like, it was a fucking dynasty. It may not have been called. Deviant can fill in the blanks, but yeah, it was a thing. He did this in order to simultaneously produce a cosmological theory based on Aristotle's physics, circular motion, no voids, geocentric, and one that would provide a technically accurate description of planetary astronomy. Ptolemy's system is one of the first examples of scientists attempting to save the phenomena to develop a combination of perfect circles to match the irregular motion of the planets. For example, using concepts asserted by pure reason to make observation match the model. And that's where we get the epicycles and the deference and all the offshoot nonsense in order to make the motion of the planets fit all the retrograde stuff and all the sidereal stuff, and because they're not just going around in circles. So it must be there's circles within circles within circles within circles to make the motion match up, because it couldn't be that the model's just inaccurate. Fucking hell. Anyway, but it was a ton of fun math. But here's the thing, and this is why I wanted to get into Ptolemy and get a little further. In fact, this retrograde motion, that does not work on a perfectly circular orbit. It cannot happen. So they postulated maybe there's a circle on the circle, but this is clearly not a circle. So maybe there's a circle on the circle on the circle to make it a lopsided circle. And they just went nuts. Now, Ptolemy postulated these in order to make the system work, but he was a little lazy. He just threw the idea out there. So it hung out for a minute. Like right here we've got the equant thing. It's just such a fucking weird model of how things need to work. But Ptolemy didn't finish the damn math. And I don't know if this is actually going to say, because now I'm seeing references to the destruction of Alexandria, and that's true. While Ptolemy gets credit for the model, he didn't actually do the math. That was Hypatia of Alexandria. She was the most badass mathematician of her time. She arguably was better than Pythagoras. Like, she wasn't just the guardian of the damn library. She was like the mathematician of her age. And for her hobby, because she liked to learn about all the things, and she also liked to enjoy the stars, because that is our divine purpose, as we have declared. It is our canon, ramen something. As a thought experiment to see if she could do it, she tried to work out the exact nature of the epicycles and difference such that they would actually match observation. She was taking a model that is not factually true and doing the math to make it possible that this untrue model could make accurate predictions of a reality that it did not correspond to. That's a lot of fucking math, and she did it for fun. And she doesn't get any goddamn credit for it. Like that, why? That math is why Ptolemy's system was able to persist into the 1500s, because they had the math. They had the observations that matched, so they could say this is confirmed. It's a weird looking model, I know, but it's confirmed by observation. She made that happen. On the downside, that contributed to the church's power through the Dark Ages. And it needed to be shattered by Galileo and Copernicus and Kepler. But holy shit, it's some good math. It's some neat fucking math. All right. Of course, there is more that could be said, but we are out of time and past out of time for today. That brings to mind the whole thing. Deviant says that's another Ptolemy. Ptolemy the astronomer is different from Ptolemy the pharaoh, and yes, every male pharaoh from 323 BCE to 37 BCE was named Ptolemy. It's a very popular name, which makes sense, I suppose. Like if you have, I don't know, I feel like it would be blasphemy to name your child after what you believe is a living God kind of thing. So I don't know, but before we go, I want to thank everybody who sent a super chat. It means a lot to me, not just for financial reasons, but the act of support right now. It really means a lot. So Cosmic Kyle sent us $2 saying, everyone pay up. Ember deserves your cash. And then another $2 saying, I love you, Ember. Thank you, Kyle. Maya sent us $5. Thank you. And says trans rights are women's rights. Fuck yes. Left-handed Jedi sent 20. Thank you so much. And says, don't cry. You are loved. And I'm probably going to cry. Kelly King, Detroit Atheist Queen, says, stick to promoting Lil and myself and everything will be good. Which is probably true. And thank you. And Left-handed Jedi sent another 2 saying Earth is classified as mostly harmless, according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And as long as you have your towel, you're probably fine. All right, folks. Thank you all so much for joining. Tomorrow, I believe we're talking ethics, human rights kind of thing. My brain is fried, but it'll be fun and we'll probably learn stuff and things. So I hope you join us. And again, possibly bonus shows later. As always, remember, you don't have to construct a model of circles within circles within circles in order to justify your factually untrue positions, because you are better than conspiracy theories. And I'll just leave that there. Toodles. Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for November. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Lilith, Ember Lynn, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Godless Engineer, Jester, Lil of All Trades, Deviant Outcast, Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, The Mighty Filbert, and Secular Phalanist. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember, or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which also includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you all so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark that spreads